The year 1860 dawned with a palpable tension gripping the United States. The issue of slavery, a festering wound on the nation's conscience, had finally reached a boiling point. In November of that year, Abraham Lincoln, a man who dared to declare a house divided against itself cannot stand, was elected the 16th President of the United States. Lincoln's victory sent shockwaves through the South. His unwavering stance against the expansion of slavery into new territories was perceived as a direct threat to their way of life, their economy, and their very identity. Southern states viewed Lincoln's election as a harbinger of their own demise. The institution of slavery, deeply intertwined with their agricultural economy and social fabric, was under attack. Fear-mongering spread like wildfire through the southern states, painting a picture of a federal government intent on stripping them of their rights and their property. The southern states believed that their autonomy was being threatened, their voices drowned out by the rising tide of abolitionism in the North. South Carolina, a state with a long and troubled history with the federal government, was the first to break away. On December 20, 1860, they formally seceded from the Union, an act of defiance that sent shockwaves throughout the nation. Following South Carolina's lead, 6 more southern states, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas, seceded by February 1861. These 7 states formed the Confederate States of America, electing Jefferson Davis as their president. The die was cast. The chasm between North and South had grown too wide to bridge, the political compromises of the past no longer sufficient to hold the nation together. What had begun as a war of words, of fiery speeches and political posturing, was about to explode into a bloody conflict that would test the very soul of a nation. With the secession of 7 southern states, the impossible had happened. America, the beacon of liberty, was fracturing from within. The Confederacy, born out of defiance and fear, was determined to chart its own course, one where slavery was not just tolerated but enshrined as a cornerstone of their new nation. The North, though initially slow to react, refused to recognize the Confederacy or the legitimacy of its secession. The first shots of the Civil War rang out on April 12, 1861, at Fort Sumter in Charleston, South Carolina. Confederate forces bombarded the federal fort, ultimately forcing its surrender. This act of aggression ignited the powder keg, galvanizing both sides and propelling the nation headlong into a conflict that would claim the lives of over 600,000 Americans. The Civil War was a conflict that engulfed the entire nation, drawing men and women from all walks of life into its vortex. While the image of the Civil War soldier is often that of a man, women played a crucial, though often overlooked, role in the conflict. They served as nurses, spies, and even soldiers, defying societal norms and risking their lives for their beliefs. One such woman was Sarah Emma Edmonds, a Canadian-born woman who felt a moral imperative to fight for the Union and the end of slavery. Disguising herself as a man named Franklin Thompson, Edmonds enlisted in the 2nd Michigan Infantry in 1861. She served as a battlefield nurse, a mail carrier, and even a spy, successfully gathering vital information behind enemy lines. Her courage under fire, her quick thinking, and her unwavering dedication to the Union cause earned her the respect of her comrades, who remained unaware of her true identity. The end of the Civil War in 1865 marked the beginning of a new era for the United States. After 4 years of intense and devastating conflict in which over 600,000 Americans gave their lives, the Union was preserved and the foundation was laid for a nation where freedom and equality could become realities for all. With the abolition of slavery through the 13th Amendment, millions were liberated from oppression. Though the struggle for justice would continue, the end of the war opened the door for a United States that could stand united, with liberty at its core and justice as its aim. This victory proved that the principles of freedom and equality were stronger than any chains. and that even in its darkest hours, America could rise to renew its commitment to liberty and justice for all.